Good morning, everyone. This is Debbie Royce, Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation's Corporate Secretary. I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's meeting. Before we formally begin, I would ask that everyone please mute your lines unless you're speaking, and we'll begin today by taking a roll call of the directors to ensure we have a quorum present. Please so kind as to say present when you hear your name. Chair Robert Joya.
Present.
Julie Barnese. Shatora Donovan.
Present.
Connie Lyden.
Present.
Mike Vogel.
Present.
And I'll just check to see if County Executive Mark Polenkars has joined or if Mayor Byron Brown has joined. Okay, Chairman Joya, you have a quorum present with the 4 directors, and you can begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Good morning, everyone. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation for Monday, November 9th, 2020. Before we get started, I will ask that everyone please mute their phone until you are ready to speak. Also, for the record, I will ask that everyone wishing to speak, please be sure to state your name before you begin. I'd like to note for the record that due to public health concerns and as authorized by an executive order of the governor, this meeting will be conducted by teleconference. I will also note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda by submitting their written comments by 4:30 p.m. on Friday. I'd like to state for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask any questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the agenda items. If so, I would ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote regarding such an item. Hearing none, I would like to call on Steve Bernali, the president, to present the first item on today's agenda, which relates to the Buffalo Outer Harbor Civic and Land Use Improvement Project. Steve?
Thank you, Robert. Good morning, everybody. Today's request for the Board of Directors to formally adopt the Outer Harbor General Project Plan is really the culmination of 6 years of planning, community engagement, and coordination with the City of Buffalo that's resulted in several key milestones even before today. We began with the 2015 Outer Harbor Blueprint, which then led to a rezoning of our property under the city's Unified Zoning Ordinance, or Green Code, in 2016. It also allowed for the completion of the Buffalo Outer Harbor Brownfield Opportunity Assessment. And then in 2018, the Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan, which was approved by the city. And even last year, back in June of 2019, this board filed the Buffalo Outer Harbor Preferred Plan. And all of those things and all of that public involvement has led to today. And even while all this was going on, ECHDC, with the support of Governor Cuomo's Buffalo Billion Program, was still able to invest millions of dollars in capital projects like the Lakeside Bike Park that we opened last year. We've increased awareness of the Outer Harbor and extended the identity of the entire Buffalo waterfront with a unified website and comprehensive approach to programming, events, and marketing, as well as being able to strengthen connections between downtown and the Outer Harbor with the Queen City Bike Ferry and Ohio Street improvements. And now, just like Canal Side before it, the Outer Harbor is poised to become the next great place on the Buffalo waterfront. This general project plan encompasses 208 acres, stretch along 1.5 miles of waterfront property. It proposes spending $150 million over the next 20 years to provide environmental remediation of the site, celebrate local culture and the site's specific industrial heritage. It will increase access to the water and improve access across the land. We'll have more open space and regenerative landscaping. We'll add comfort stations, signage, wayfinding, as well as passive and active recreational amenities. The GPP will develop 7 distinct sub-areas, and these smaller, unique locations will still tie together the entire Outer Harbor site. Locations like Wilkeson Point and Bell Slip, which we've come to know and enjoy, will be upgraded, while new locations like Terminal B and the Meadows will be developed to provide an amazing backdrop for future memories. The GPP will be constructed in phases, with phase 1 likely beginning in 2021. This nearly $45 million investment will create an underwater habitat in slip number 3 that will benefit the entire Lake Erie ecosystem by repurposing the clean sediment being removed from the Buffalo River over the next decade. Phase 1 will also see a rehabilitation of the vacant Terminal B building into an open-air structure that allows for enhanced large-scale programming and increased views of the water. Upgrades to trails, restoration of the landscape, and the inclusion of additional permanent comfort stations at Bell Slip and Wilkeson Point will renew these locations for many years to come. Most of the phase 1 work will be completed within 5 years, while the slip is expected to take a little bit longer. An operations and maintenance plan has been developed to care for the property and these planned improvements. Civic, land use, and other project findings show that this GPP involves a comprehensive development plan with extensive stakeholder and public involvement to undertake proper environmental remediation activities to redevelop the substandard underutilized site with additional public access, gathering, and comfort facilities to support greater public use and enjoyment. And that this project includes substantial public improvements and the creation of numerous open spaces and public amenities that would serve as quality of life improvements to increase demand for private development, both in adjoining parcels and neighborhoods, as well as at the regional level, to help attract and retain workforce and talent for the region's emerging economic sectors in tech, advanced manufacturing, and health and life sciences. ECHDC, as the lead agency, has completed an environmental review of the Buffalo Outer Harbor Civic and Land Use Improvement Project pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act and its implementing regulations. This review, which was coordinated with involved agencies due to the project's Type 1 classification, found that the proposed project would not result in significant adverse impacts on the environment. Among the considerations going into this determination were analyses conducted by the Army Corps' proposed beneficial use of dredged material for ecosystem restoration at Slip 3, which they documented in a detailed project report and environmental assessment, and a federal finding of no significant impact, issued by the Army Corps in July of 2020. Therefore, staff recommends that the directors make a determination of no significant effect on the environment. ESD's non-discrimination and contractor and supplier diversity policies will apply to this project. The goal is to achieve an overall minority and women business enterprise participation goal of 30% and an overall service-disabled veteran-owned business goal of 6% related to the total value of this project. The overall MWBE goal shall include a minority business enterprise participation goal of 15% and a women business enterprise participation goal of 15%. Therefore, the directors are being asked to adopt project findings pursuant to Section 10 of the UDC Act, adopt the proposed GPP, make a determination of no significant effect on the environment, authorize a public hearing on the proposed GPP pursuant to the Act and in accordance with other applicable law and current guidance, and authorize all related actions. Based on the foregoing, I recommend approval of the requested actions. Robert?
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to remind everyone that you state your name before speaking. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item?
Robert, it's Mark Polenkars. I just want to note for the record that I got on just before Steve started talking, and just want to applaud the plan. It's many iterations, but it's a very good plan.
Great. Welcome, Mark.
Connie Lyden. I'd like to make a comment.
Yes,
A great deal of thought and planning and logic has gone into this proposed GPP. But there's also one more big thing that has gone into this, and that's a lot of heart, because this really will be Buffalo's plan. So I'm very much in favor of it and very pleased with the plan.
Thank you, Connie. Anyone else? I will now entertain a motion for approval.
Mike Vogel, so move.
Second?
Connie Lyden, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Steve will now present the final item on today's agenda, a request for authorization for the corporation to enter into a memorandum of understanding for the operations and maintenance of property at Buffalo's Outer Harbor. Steve?
Thank you, Robert. With the board just adopting the plan for the next round of Outer Harbor capital improvements, the likely next question for many of you, at least Connie, I know, is how are we going to maintain this site, and especially all the new work and new investment? Well, in concert with the general project plan, ECHDC has developed a 10-year operations and maintenance plan, including general maintenance, repairs, security, utilities, insurance, and operations and administration of the site. And to begin implementing this O&M plan, we look to partner with New York State Parks in a collaborative, cost-effective, and mutually beneficial agreement. As previously mentioned, New York State Parks does currently maintain the nearly 200-acre Buffalo Harbor State Park, which is just south of our property. Parks and ECHDC recognized over 5 years ago that working together would be the most cost-effective way to maintain the entire Outer Harbor. And that's why we began a partnership in 2015. The board helped us to renew it in 2018. And again, we bring it before you today to further extend our collaborative efforts in a way that we believe could be a model for the entire Buffalo waterfront. In this latest agreement, New York State Parks will provide a combination of full-time and seasonal employees to provide routine maintenance, cleaning services, graffiti removal, trash collection, litter pickup. They'll purchase necessary equipment, maintenance supplies, landscape materials, and site furnishings, and they'll be responsible for routine maintenance of our purchased and leased equipment, repairs, and parts. And finally, they'll procure additional inspections as well as additional services on an on-needed or as-needed basis. The agreement will cover fees and expenses from April 1st of 2021 through March 31st of 2025. And the amount to complete the scope of work shall not exceed $992,000, which includes a contingency of $32,000. The funding source shall be the New York Power Authority relicensing agreement. And ECHDC recognizes its obligation under the law to promote opportunities for maximum feasible participation of certified minority and women-owned business enterprises in the performance of our projects. Accordingly, ESD's non-discrimination and contractor and supplier diversity policies will apply to this agreement. Empire State Development staff has determined that the requested authorization constitutes a Type 2 action as defined by the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. No further environmental review is required in connection with this authorization. So the directors are requested to, 1, authorize the corporation to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation in an amount not to exceed $992,000, including the contingency, substantially on the terms contained in these materials, and 2, to take all related actions. Based on the foregoing, I recommend approval of the requested actions.
Thank you, Steve. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? Hearing none, I will now entertain a motion for approval.
Mike Vogel, so move.
Second?
Connie Lyden, second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Mike Vogel, so move.
Second?
Connie Lyden, second.
Thank you. We are now adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your participation in today's meeting, and I urge everyone to stay well. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. Enjoy the great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Chairman Joya.
Take care, everyone.